Oaktown.
Let's play ball.
Look out, here we go.
Here it is.
This is going to get ugly here. It is.
What's up, everybody? Schmitty here, Christian Cooper over there. Yeah, we're going to talk baseball tonight, and I got to remove E-Man saying go Oaktown because they're going Sacktown now.
Sacktown.
But I just wanted to say the Giants did it, man. They signed P. Goldschmidt.
What was I saying? I haven't even seen the terms yet. I just was taking care of other business. What is it? What do we got?
It's Pike Goldschmidt. He's coming to the staff.
You fuck with me like that. Pike Goldschmidt.
The Giants hire Haiti Rad Pike Goldschmidt to Buster Posey staff. Hey, I think my dog's gonna be fucking. Hold on. But yeah, it says has been hired as director of pro scouting. Pike Goldschmidt will be the organization's director of baseball strategy. Maybe he'll strategically get Paul Goldschmidt.
No relation? Any relation?
I don't know. We got to look into this.
What's up, Babe Rocks? Look at that.
It's very interesting.
Everything's been kind of interesting. Look, we got visitors from the other channel.
Seniors here.
Awesome.
Let's pre-party. Babe Rocks. You guys see we got P. Goldschmidt? The Giants did it, man. They got P. Goldschmidt to be the organization's director of baseball strategy.
Unreal. Well, shit, we got to kick this thing off, but before we get started, we got to talk about Rob Manfred a little bit. And
the golden goose,
the golden goose egg. I think it's time for him to go.
Big time.
Honestly, like pizza box bases and ghost runners and this golden at bat thing has got to be one of the biggest game ruining moves I've ever heard of, So hopefully it doesn't ever happen, but I mean, no, that's just wrong.
It's hard. They got the ghost runner at second. The pitching clock's fine. I'm okay with that. And yeah, I mean, I've been hearing a lot of different things about it. And of course, Eric Burns is pro because he wants another Harlem Globetrotters, but we already got the bananas.
Right.
We don't need another Harlem Globetrotters in baseball. Let's keep everything close to what it's been for however long it's been. Like, what the hell? This is a game of statistics. We can't just all of a sudden let Ohtani bat extra time. Like, everything is about Ohtani at this point in my head.
Right. And it's, it's called a batting order for a reason, right? I mean, we're looking at 1 through 9, and there's a reason why guys hit at the top of the order, the bottom of the order, and everywhere in between. So what's the point? Anyways, I just wanted to get that off my chest because it's been bugging me ever since I read about it. And I just feel
I thought it was a joke, but then it wasn't a joke. Yeah. And it was just like, what?
Absolutely.
But I saw that Athletics did get Severino, and Clay Holmes is staying in New York, but he's heading up to Queens to pitch for the Mets. And I guess they're going to have him be a starting pitcher. You think that might be any indication on Juan Soto? To me, I called Soto's a Met a long time ago, so I'm sticking with that. But yeah, he's staying in New York one way or the other.
Well, I don't know what that means for Soto and the Mets. I'm not really sure. Sounds like the Soto price tag might not go quite as high as we thought, but we'll see. And what I've been sort of looking at, the rumblings, is the Dodgers are about 50-50 on him, and hopefully they don't get him.
Well, it's 700 or 700 plus officially.
Right.
The Red Sox, a couple of teams are actually trying to go back and like, hey, we're good. But Steve Cohen's already said, like, I will outpay anyone.
Right.
So unless Soto doesn't want to go to the Mets or doesn't care about that, the Mets are going to get him.
Yeah. Yeah, it's who knows, but he said he wants to sign somewhere soon. So I've had enough Soto talk. I know he's not coming to SF, and it's like wherever he signs, he's going to do whatever he does. He's going to have subpar fielding, and he's going to have subpar base running, and he's going to hit a ton. And The only question is, does he stay healthy? Because if your 700 million plus investment ends up on the IR a lot, ugh, yuck.
Yeah, just to answer Senior real quick, Manfred was actually on a podcast and somehow it came up, and he had mentioned that it could be an idea, and it had some buzz. It was floating around. KMBR actually played an interview with Manfred like a couple of years ago on a different podcast where he said the guy that came up with that idea asked him about it. He's like, no way, that's ridiculous. That'll never happen. Now he's changed his tune. Manfred, yeah, he needs to move on. I think if Manfred and the Athletics owner could get together and go over to Savannah, the Banana League, that'd be great.
Sure. Have you been to one of those games ever?
No.
I kind of feel like I need to check it out
all the time.
Yeah. They're a big draw, and it'd be great to see Burnsy do his thing, right? I mean, it's not really baseball; it's just something else, but it looks fun. So
if a fan in the crowd catches a ball, you're out.
Right.
There's like all these crazy rules. Like I would have to definitely get a rule book and because
study it. Yeah, for sure. Well, shit. The shortstop dilemma. What the hell are we doing? I mean,
it's obviously either Kim or Adames or no one. I mean, unless Posey pulls a rabbit out of his hat and makes a trade. It just, to me, it seems like it's Kim. Like people, I don't know, the way they're talking, they don't want to, lose 2 draft picks. But, oh man, my dog is just getting dementia's a bitch, guys. Don't let your dog get dementia. But what's up, Robert? But yeah, I saw that Chapman was, God damn. I saw Chapman was saying, this is what pissed me off, is Chapman saying, oh, I'll play shortstop if we get Kim, because that Kim's not going to be able to play till July, so he'll hold it down at short till then. No, we just signed Chapman for like a big contract because he's one of the best defensive third basemen in all of baseball. He needs to stay at third base. We can find somebody to hold it down at shortstop, whether it be Fitzgerald, Schmidt, somebody else, whatever. But no, Chapman's staying at third. If that was the case, he could go play short and we could try to play Schmidt at third, who's probably maybe better. I mean, I don't know. Kim's great defensively, but we don't know what he's going to be like with post-surgery.
Yeah, coming back from the labrum surgery, and is he going to be hesitant to dive for balls or to do any of that, stealing bases head first? I mean, there's a lot of questions there, and ER's on it. He's saying Kim, and I feel like they're leaning that way, and I just don't like it. If for no other reason, it just feels a lot like a Farhan move, and Farhan moves really got us nowhere.
Yeah, the thing I gotta say is I have to give Posey a chance. I have to wait till opening day and see what he's done. Everyone's like and I'm guilty too. I'm anxious. I want moves. I want to see a headline every morning. I wake up and I'm like, no, nothing. But look, the winter meetings start Monday. My guess is within a week of that, we'll get our first acquisition. It'll probably be Kim, and with Kim, that means the focus is purely on pitching and defense. So to me, I need Fried. I need Fried or Burns. That's the package deal. It's not just Kim. It's Kim and a kick-ass pitcher. That has to be where we start. And then on top of that, let's sprinkle in something, whether it be a first baseman, a utility, a right fielder, whatever. I love our kids, but these guys all want to rebuild on the other station. I'm like, no. I live 2 blocks from the stadium. I go to a lot of games. I want to see people play. I want to see good players. I want Burns. I don't care about in 10 years. Yeah. I might not even be alive. Let's go now.
Exactly. And I want a good reason to drive down to San Diego more than once a year to see the Giants. I'd like to take in more than one game, or Anaheim or wherever, So yeah, And I feel like it just, we don't know, and we're all on pins and needles, and we're all like, God, do something already, right? But we got to trust in Buster. I mean, Buster's definitely a student of the game, a master at his craft when he was playing, and I can't imagine that he's going to make bad decisions. Okay. And I guess the real thing that all of us are just kind of wondering and worrying about is, are they going to go to total rebuild? Are they going to try to build from within and add key pieces? Is it going to be the Sabine philosophy? Is it going to be the Farhan philosophy? Is it going to be something entirely different? Bobby Evans? I mean, all the questions are what kill you, right? Because most teams around the league, especially the competitive teams, it's like their fans are sitting there going, yeah, we got this guy, we got that guy. This guy's locked in for 3 more years. We're good. We're cooking, And the Giants are like, what the hell are we doing? Right? So if nothing else, it's interesting, but it's been very quiet, very quiet.
Yeah. And I have to think the other part of me is like this. All right. We don't want to lose 2 draft picks, right? So that's maybe why we're skipping Adamas. If that's why, to me, that's the only reason they don't sign Adamas, or somebody else outbid them and just went to like astronomical thing. But I think that you need to get, if you're not going to just like total go rebuild, which I'm hoping that's not what they do. I think you get one guy, like if you can get Burns or Adamas, maybe you don't want to get both of them and lose like 3 or 4 draft picks, but get one of them. Like the draft picks is a flip of the coin. So many times these guys don't amount to anything, and you got 2 studs right here. Like
Right.
Adamas he's a real player, like he's going to hit some home runs. He's going to steal bases. He's in the 2020 club. Like, like I'm down for Adamas. He would look good in a Giants uniform. But if we're going to get Kim, not Adamas, like let's get Fried or Burns. Let's get, what's his name on the other show? Not Shardall, but the other guy, he was really wanting Shane Bieber. Dilly wants Bieber, and Bieber just re-signed with Cleveland. So that's out the door.
Yeah. And it's like, the problematic thing is the Giants are going to lose draft picks no matter what. They sign a big free agent. That's it. They go sign Corbin Burns, they lose draft picks. They go sign Adamas, they lose draft picks. They lose them with Kim, they lose them with anybody. So, get a return on the investment that you're making and giving up. Now, I will say that the Giants through the 2000s and the 2010s drafted really well. They picked guys that, it's like, I've never heard of this guy, and he's in the major leagues like right away. Like Buster is a prime example of that. Bumgarner, guys that they drafted, and these guys were every bit that they were advertised as, and then some. You don't bring home 3 world championships without drafting some quality players. But I think that a lot of things have fallen way short. Joey Bart, Christian Arroyo, there've been all these guys that they drafted that just turned out to be not what they need and not enough to fill those holes, right? And the way that they treated prospects was sending guys down, bringing them up, sending guys down, bringing them up, waiting too long, rushing them to the big leagues. It just seemed like they couldn't hit on it. Patrick Bailey is sort of the newest exception to that rule. So hopefully if they can kind of stay in that groove with the drafting, then good. And we got Randy Wynn doing player development now, so that helps. And, it may be a slow burn instead of overnight success. I mean, you and I were both not expecting anything out of 25 anyway. We figured it's going to be a rebuild, or it's going to be like, let the young guys play and work it out and figure out who they are. They're not going to go make giant splash deals. Then we hear they're cutting the budget. So now for sure that's the case. But I am optimistic about all the young pitching that the Giants have. I'm optimistic about some of the young outfield guys they have. And I feel like, they can fill that shortstop hole. If they sign Kim, let's say it's a short-term deal, I'm okay with it, right? We'll find out. And if he's just not the same guy, or he's subpar, I mean, you're not stuck to a long-term deal with him, right?
Right. Yeah, Robert, I already said that. Like, there's no way Chapman needs to play shortstop. We have plenty of options, and hopefully we're going to get more options. Yeah, I think that we obviously need a shortstop and a starting pitcher. I wouldn't mind to get a lefty in the pen. Maybe we can trade Taylor Rogers and replace him with another lefty or something. But I think the pen is really close to being just like maybe our best, the thing that we have that's the best, and the starting rotation is really close too. The thing that I think, and I think a lot of people don't agree with me, but like, dude, a lot of stuff went wrong last year. Jung Hoo Lee was out early for the entire year. Yaz and Wade were both hurt. Chapman even was missing some time. Like, just with all that said and no other moves, the Giants could come out and be a better squad. And with a couple additions, I think they're able to get 85 to 87 wins let's say they got Alonso at first, right? And then they got a pitcher and Kim. I think that's 85 to 87 wins right there, like just those three guys.
Yeah. And I think potentially, even if they made no major move, if they can get whatever bug it is out of these guys' heads about situational hitting, they could finish above 500. I mean, we saw it all year and the year before and the year before that, where it's just that situational hitting awareness just was not there. The strikeout totals were out of hand. And I think that the Giants' current roster, which I mean, we can agree it's not great, but I think that the potential to play better is there. And what is it? Was it a problem with Farhan calling in the lineups every day? Was it the lack of confidence put in the players by being, brought up, sent down, brought up, sent down? I mean, it could be any combination of things that I think kind of handicap the Giants. And like you said, with the injuries and all of that, like you add all that together and it's like, it doesn't look so good. And if, lest we forget, September, they got hot, right? In the middle of the season, they got hot. They had like pretty good runs. They just didn't sustain it throughout the entire season.
Yeah.
And once you get 10, 12 games back in the division, the division's way out of sight, but the wild card is starting to fade in the distance as well, and we saw the Giants go from being in the wild card to one game out, and they sat there for a bit and then they just went south, right? Yeah, it bottomed out.
Yeah, it was frustrating.
Yeah, and I think one thing that didn't happen that should have happened is we saw the trajectory. We knew that they weren't going to make the postseason. Why not get more time for the young guys at that point, right? That you got to get a good look at these dudes because you got to figure out what you're doing the next year, and you're not going into the playoffs. So I think the potential for them to do better is definitely there. And I think with some additions, they're definitely going to do better. It's just a question of what are they willing to spend? Who are they willing to get? How long are they willing to take them on? And I think there's free agents that are worthy of, 4 or 5, 6 years out there. And then there's a lot of guys where it's like, yeah, let's do 2, maybe 3, I mean, you mentioned Profar earlier today, and it's like, I love Jurickson Profar. I liked him when he was with the A's. I like him when he was with San Diego. I wouldn't mind having Profar. But again, like
Dodgers too.
The outfield isn't the biggest glaring need that they have. So it's kind of what do you do then? You just re-sign Yastrzemski. I mean, it's really that shortstop position. It's some pitching. It's first base if you can get it. That's it, right?
Right. Well, look, we're conditioned to expect nothing. We've seen it the last few years. I'm really hopeful and curious to see what a new, semi-new, and this is the problem that I think hasn't been discussed enough. Like, how new is the regime when you're pulling in players or people that are already in the organization? I mean, Damon Minor coming up from SAC. Like, is it still the same philosophy? Is there going to be the same feeling? And then it's kind of like Kapler left and we're like, it still sucks. Farhan leaves and then it still sucks. Like, then we have a problem, because then it's like, what is going on, right? So I'm really optimistic in Buster's a winner. He has a lot of pride. The dude moved back to the Bay Area because he wanted to be closer and more of a part of this. He really has passion for it. He has a lot to learn, clearly. It's new for him. But I do believe his mind and, his sight on baseball is going to be huge. And let's see what kind of things, like him and Chapman going to a negotiation with Webb. Maybe those guys is better than Farhan and Larry Bear, like, I don't know if it's like Aaron Judge is up in the penthouse suite and he's trying to like be on the level with Larry Bear and Farhan, it's probably a little tougher. So I just think that having these legends around is going to be helpful. Get Will Clark up here more. I heard Crawford saying he's taking this year off, but he'd be an option to help out in the future. But I'm just curious about that. What do you think about having too many pieces of the pie from the same oven?
It doesn't make me feel real comfortable, although knowing what I know about Buster Posey and having seen his whole career trajectory as a player, he took it very personally and held himself not only accountable, but he held himself to a very high standard. And you could tell when he felt like, man, I'm not hitting the mark with what I need to be doing, my job. And he, was constantly working to improve whenever he felt like he needed to, including coming back from that injury, which most guys don't come back from that, right? So that shows you the tenacity that he has, the character that he has. And I think that his philosophy is like, we want to fucking win. I want to win. I want to take these guys and win it with them. So as long of a leash as he's given is how well it's going to work out. And I see D shot the same damn team as last year. Yeah, it's possible. I mean, I don't know that it could get worse.
I don't see it being the same team as last year.
Yeah.
I don't understand why they would make all this, like, why are they bringing in Buster to keep it the same? Yeah. It's not going to be the same team. The only way it's worse is if they don't replace Snell. If they go into it with just Webb and hopefully Ray as their starters that have experience, and then just a bunch of the kids, then it could be worse.
Yeah, could be.
We need a guy to be a 1-2 punch with Webb, and then pray that Ray is, back closer to what Ray used to be. And then we just have 2 slots to fill from like 5 pretty damn good young prospects, whether it be Birdsong, Roop, Wynn, Beck. I mean, the list goes on, right? And so I just think that it needs to, and Harrison, if they don't trade any of those guys, I mean, that's a lot of talent that you're going to have to squeeze into this bottle. And I'd way rather do it that way than just throw it all out on the table and see what sticks. Right. Like, let's make them work for it. Like, competitiveness brings out the best of people. So if it's like 5 dudes for 2 spots, it's probably going to be a win for the Giants.
Well, the competition brings out the best in the best people. So it's pretty easy to separate the wheat from the chaff at that point, And the one thing that I kind of,
yeah, D-Bogser.
The one thing that I sort of was thinking about the whole Snell situation is you have to remember they only had Snell for half a season, essentially, the number of starts. And he did turn in a bunch of quality, stellar starts down the stretch. But, I mean, they did a lot of what they did or didn't do without Snell on the mound.
Yeah, he was like 2 months pretty much.
Yeah. I mean, first of all, he didn't even get into a game until well into the season because he didn't have a preseason ramp up in a spring training like everybody else. Mm-hmm. And then he was injured twice in the groin, right?
And then he had a baby.
And then he had a kid. But basically, I mean, he was great when he was great, but he wasn't there that much. So it's not like you're having to fill an entire season of great starts. I mean, Logan Webb gives you that. Robbie Ray, we don't know. So if they don't get Corbin Burns, but they were able to pick up another starter who's a quality starter, not an ace, it might be serviceable. They might do okay. I mean, it's not going to be like Snell-like, but what is, right? So it's yeah. And I mean, the one good thing about having a glut of starters is that any one of those guys can become an innings eater, long relief guy. And it's not going to be that big of a hit, especially since they're all really young. They just want the service time.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's going to be, we're going to have to be patient, guys. We're going to have to wait and see what happens. It's December 6th right now. My prediction was before Christmas, we should have one, if not two players, whether it be a trade or free agent. But like, I think last year, Ohtani signed around the 9th or the 11th of December.
Yep.
And they're predicting on MLB that Soto should sign by Monday at the latest. Like this weekend, they pretty much think he's going to narrow it down and do it. And I think with that and the winter meetings, hopefully it'll be like a pinball machine, like dun, 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 boom, 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 but da, 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 da. Yeah, let's go.
Yeah, it was funny how that played out last year. Everybody was holding their breath and waiting on the Ohtani where he was going to sign, right? And then right after he did, there was this flurry of activity and there were all kinds of moves being made, like just around the clock. And then it just went silent again. And guys, I mean, look at the guys the Giants signed. It was all right before the season started. Soler was late. Chapman was late. Snell was way late. And that was just odd, that none of those guys got signed much earlier. It was strange, if not by the Giants, by any other team. So
wasn't that kind of a Boris thing?
Yeah, well, everything's kind of a Boris thing. That guy's creates all kinds of drama. And like you've suggested many times in the past, like there needs to be a window, right? Like
it would make it so much more exciting, wouldn't it?
Yeah. I mean, it should be one of those things where teams have to have guys signed by a certain date so that they can have a proper workout regimen in the off season and go into spring training, get ready for the season on a normal timeline, right? Instead of this rushed thing. I mean, I honestly think that's why Snell got hurt twice, is that he didn't get the proper reps and the proper, build up to the season. And I don't want to see that again. I really don't.
Yeah, I think it was basically we got a tryout. We got Snell. He used us for a tryout, and he threw a no-hitter. And good luck doing that again. I think all the stars were aligned, and you had a great catcher, and you had a great ballpark, and it just all worked out. But I think he only, was there any other complete games last year besides the no-hitter?
I thought he threw two. Thought he had a complete game and then the no-hitter. He
might have, but yeah. So we'll see. And everybody says, oh yeah, the Dodgers don't need a lot of innings. And that's true too. I think what we really need to do, and you can agree with me or not, but I think we need to not really pay attention to what the Dodgers are doing. I think we need to be the Giants, and we need to be our organization, and we need to just work on our team and get it better. I think that our hitting needs to be much better. Our bat to ball contact ratio and our strikeouts, all that stuff is really poor. The defense will be there. I think the defense is usually there until they really start gripping and worrying about hitting so much. And then you see these errors that they wouldn't normally make. Right. But I'm not really afraid of pitching and defense. I think we'll have that dialed in. But what is our average runs per game going to be? Can we score 4 or more runs a game? If that happens and we truly have a good pitching and defense, that equals a lot of wins.
Yeah. And I think what their average runs per game last year was 3.78. I mean, that's just, the Dodgers were over 7. So it's crazy. It's crazy.
But did you kind of feel like am I wrong, or maybe it was the big lights and a whole different thing? But to me, it felt like the Dodgers kind of got figured out in the postseason. Like their Ohtani didn't hit much at all. Like they were getting Betts and Ohtani out consistently. And then the other guys stepped up. Edman had a great series. Of course, Freeman did what he did. But like the big guns, Teoscar was meh. These guys were fucking fuego all year.
Yeah.
And then in the postseason, I felt like they kind of knew how to pitch to him. Maybe they were more, I don't know. But
yeah, there's
again,
that.
I just don't care about the Dodgers. I really don't. It's like, fuck them.
Yeah. I think that, part of it is when you get down to like, the division series, the league championships or whatever, the caliber of teams that you're facing is on par with you. Like they weed out the guys that just the also rans, in the wild card and sort of going into the division series. By the time you get to the league championship series, you're facing the best of the best. It's the two top teams going up against each other. And it usually plays out that way. It's usually you don't see the favorites getting, bounced. It happens, but it's not a regular occurrence. So, and so, yeah, I do think that the level of pitching and how they pitch those guys. I mean, look at Muncy. What was he, 0 for 16 or something?
Yeah, and that scares me. That scares me because that the rumors of Adames going to the Dodgers, it like makes more sense, right? Like they need a third baseman. They need a shortstop. Like it's like, I don't know. And that's the only time I'm concerned with the Dodgers is when they're getting guys that we need to get. You know what I mean? Right. It's like, God damn it. Snell could have went anywhere else. Like, God damn it. Adames can go anywhere else. Like, yeah. I just don't want to see Soto cannot go there. Like, it's just going to, the whole world's going to blow up if Soto signs over there.
Yeah. And it's, the Giants are the 4th or 5th richest organization in the league. But they don't spend. I mean, everybody talks about how huge the payroll was last year and the year before, but it's like, what did it amount to? I mean, what's the ROI on that? Because if you're spending all that money and you have nothing to show for it, you're sub 500 at the end of the year. And then you've got these guys on these 1 year opt-out deals and they all fly the coop after a year. I mean, what have you gotten for the money you've spent?
Yeah, and correct me if I'm wrong, but the team formerly known as the Oakland A's have moved out of your region. You have just inherited a whole East Bay.
Right.
Like there's going to be so much more revenue for this team with the A's gone. Maybe not immediately. The green and yellow blood, it's going to last for about 3 weeks. Crazy George is going to say, I'm not going to a Giants game, all that crap. But eventually the Bay Bridge is going to be Bart underneath, all that stuff. We got ferries. That's why I was like, let's get Booker, let's get an A, and then bring the fan base over.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you figure what the A's were pulling 3,000 to 4,000 tops at their games. So if you add that to the 14 or so thousand that were showing up at Giants games this year, it's still not even half capacity, right?
But we know the Giants will fill the stadium once they start winning. The bandwagon in the Bay Area is like all-time high. I mean, look at the Niners. It's this just like we want to be winner mentality of the .comers running around in their Veslas or whatever. What are those?
Those stupid $65,000 Rivian pickup truck.
Yeah, it's like, the Giants have no problem. They got a great ballpark. And the team wins, people want to watch. You start losing games 1-0 and 2-1. You're losing and you're not scoring runs. Who wants to go watch that except for diehard baseball players like us, our fans, Exactly. So that's why the Kim thing is kind of like, like I'm down for Kim if we get Alonso or I don't know. People are talking me out of Santander now, but like somebody that's offensively a beast that we could put either DH, first base, right field somewhere, then it makes more sense with Kim. And of course, like I said, we need Fried or Burns or some like high level starting pitcher.
Yeah, Kim has to not be the best guy they sign this offseason. That's just it's just the way it has to be. Boggs is asking, do you guys think that they have the majority of their cash tied up in Mission Rock? That's possible. It's possible. I know that they invested a lot of money in that yuppie compound over there, but
they're probably already making money off of it. Those places are full. They got the Visa headquarters. There's living people in 2 of the buildings. Like there's restaurants opening. Ike's place is there. I think the money, what did Fang say? The money will roll right in. These guys are, Greg Johnson's just not a baseball player's owner. It's like Cohen. He's like out there saying, I'll spend anything. Like the Warriors owner, I'll spend anything. I need to get my team. Like I got a lot of pride in my team. Greg Johnson's more of like, well, I'll go golfing with Buster and we'll talk about it. But I don't know,
Is it that he's not a player's owner or he's not a fan's owner?
Or either.
Right? Because
no, but I mean, I don't think he cares about the players as much as we do. Like, he wants to fill the team maybe more so, but I think Larry Bear has his heart in the right place. I think so.
Yeah. Well, I think he's got a genuine love for the team and for success of the team. So we'll see if he can get away from the domestic issues that he appears to have. All right.
Only 1-2.
The Giants are back on 2, and that's where they're going to stay. Didn't they say that in a commercial?
There's only one.
The boys are back,
and there's only 1-2.
That's right. That's right.
Oh man, and the crazy crab is starting to get dressed. We're gonna have what was his name? The guy that goes across.
No! They bring that thing back. I had completely forgotten about that until
the Levi Landing guy. What was his name?
Oh man, Rusty.
Rusty, yeah.
And he was pretty rusty, right? He was rusting out in the salt air. So, shit, I don't know, Greg. It's been hard because it's like we want shit to happen, and we're way ahead of it because we're just getting into the time where things start to happen now. I mean, you hear about these signings here and there before the winter meetings, but there's not a lot. And so there's not a lot, but there's also not a lot for us to get excited about. And I think that's the hard part.
So there's 2 trains of thought for me on all this. Why haven't they got Kim yet? A, they're waiting to see him heal a little bit and see what he really is going to have in the tank. Or B, they're poking their nose around and seeing if they can do better.
Yeah.
Can we trade for Bichette? Can we get Adames? That guy on the Twins that I was talking about. I thought he would be a great asset because he plays a couple positions and he steals a lot of bases, hits like 285 or something. Forget his name right now, but
it's not Willie Castro.
Yeah, Willie Castro. So I don't know. I kind of hope that, here's the thing. We all are expecting Kim and we'll probably get him, but I'm hoping that we get an unexpected Stoke, not an unexpected wah, but something that you're like, I can't believe it. Like, I don't know if you guys follow basketball, but when the Warriors got Durant, it blew my mind. I could not believe it for 2 days. I was like, we just got Kevin Durant? How the fuck did they pull that off?
Right.
That's what the Giants need. They need that excitement. Like, not like, well, Jorge Soler might be able to hit the Coke bottle, but I don't know if he's even going to play in the field. Like, no, we need like full throttle. Fuck yeah, we got our guy, and we haven't had that for ever.
Yeah. ER's got an interesting theory. Thinks that Kim's already signed, but the Giants don't want to announce that as their first move.
Well, I thought the same thing as far as they didn't want to announce it too close to after Snell signed with the Dodgers. I think enough time's gone by now. But yeah, you might be onto something. Like maybe, you don't want that to be your first move, or you want to get, like, let's say they're working on Freed, then it's like, we got Kim, and everyone's like, and then all of a sudden, boom, we got Freed too. Like, like boom, boom, boom. It's like, okay.
Like
Yeah,
that.
I don't know. We don't know. We can only guess, and everybody can only guess. Even Pavlovic, like his little, I'm the best. Like he doesn't know shit. He hears things just as everyone else does. It's like no one knows.
Yeah. And if not this year, next year, the Giants have to make at least one move that scares the living shit out of other teams. Okay. Like, when's the last time they did that? When's the last time they signed a guy that other teams were like, fuck, the Giants mean business, right? I mean,
so the only way that happens is if let's say they have that mentality and they say, next year, we're going to be the Mets and we're going to outbid everyone on Vladdy. Yep. I don't care how much he wants. That's our guy. And we are going to outspend for him. The only problem with that is the Mets were in the playoffs last year. We need to get some wins under our belt to make it, give an appetite for some of these hitters that they want to come here. Like, I don't want to have this huge contract. Let me pretend I'm Glenn. Christian, I don't want to have this huge contract, Christian. Christian, do you understand what I'm saying, Christian? Christian, do you hear me, Christian? No, but really, I don't want to have this huge contract and have all the pressure to turn the team around also.
Exactly.
Like, oh, geez, this guy's overpaid and he can't do shit. It's like, no, he's just on a team that has 7 slots on it. We need a team that has 1 slot for him. That's it.
Yeah, and I think certain guys, like, they feel like they're going to have to carry water for the whole team. Nobody really wants that pressure. I mean, very few people are going to succeed. Baseball is very much a team-driven thing for success. And you look at the championship run of the Giants, like, it was a lot of role players, but there were guys that stepped up on a daily basis. And 1 through 9, dudes hit, dudes ran, they stole bases. The pitching was phenomenal. And so you combine all those factors, they didn't have the gigantic star power, at least not in the sense that we're looking at the league now. And I mean, yeah, things have changed. It's kind of an arms race with getting superstars in your lineup. But you look at the teams that were consistently good throughout this last season, they were teams that had a total lineup, 1 through 9, everybody out there, guys weren't hitting $170, guys were hitting 240 plus up and down the lineup. And that's just crucial, right? So need speed, need hitting, need situational hitting. The power thing doesn't play at Oracle. It doesn't matter. I don't want Babe fucking Ruth trying to hit home runs in the fog and the wind. It doesn't work.
And speed doesn't slump. That's the other thing. Like, if you're not going to win games, at least be exciting. Have fast guys in the field that can make dynamic plays, and have guys that when they get on base, they can steal bases. And when they hit balls in the gap, they can stretch out a double into a triple.
Right.
That formula right there is exciting, win or lose. So if you're into baseball, that's what you want to see.
Right.
This whole thing about, 9 times 3, 27 outs, and one guy hit a home run out of the whole thing. It's kind of like, you know what I mean? I'd rather have the Diamondbacks, kind of their formula. The Cincinnati Reds are kind of going in that direction, like team that are more athletic and fast. And then if you got the pitching and defense, that's your core. And then you work out of it. You got your Grant McCray learning how to hit more, get more contact, because the guy's a great defensive outfielder, and he's probably got enough power to hit 20 home runs if he just cut down the strikeouts. Ramos, all-star. Jung-Hoo Lee, we don't know, but I'm thinking he could be an all-star. Chapman, one of the best third basemen in the game. He's top 3 defensive, and he hit 25 home runs last year. Wade and Wilmer, I love you guys, but I don't really see the Giants being much improved keeping those two on the team. I think that they can improve in those two guys dramatically with an athletic type of player to replace them.
Yep.
And that's sad to say because Wilmer has done so much for the team. He's had so many clutch hits and he was just solid for so long, but his knees gave out. And then I don't know what happened with Lamont, but his on base is really great, but he lost all his power, So I think Lamont could be possible trade bait. I think somebody might really want a Lamont Wade on their team. And so those are the things that I'm hoping Posey and the organization are looking into as far as like picking up guys and losing guys. You and I were talking earlier about like there's Wade Mecklers and David VRs and some of these guys that we've seen enough of that we're just like, we don't want to give these guys any more chances. Replace them in the minors with other people. Let's build up the minors and have a solid, River Cats and Eugene and San Jose. Eldridge, he's about to show us what he's made of. Is he going to be up by All-Star break? We don't know, but he's got a lot of promise. And then we'll see. I was going to ask you, my mind's scattered with everything. Bregman, what do you think about that whole rumor and idea?
It's probably a better idea than I want to give credit to it for being. I don't like any of the Astros that were part of that cheating scandal, however much of an effect it did or didn't have. He's part of that, right? And so it's like, for me, it's a hard one to swallow. He's been a great player in the past. I think he's been in a little bit of a slow decline the last 2 years. So, if he's a guy that's really a difference maker and they can identify that, okay, but I'm not sure about it. The one thing that I want to run by you is, and everybody here is, I hear a lot of shit about Chapman. He's get called crap man, and they no way should have signed him for 6 years. And I kind of see the other side of the coin with Chapman is that they signed him to that long-term deal, and I think he's a foundational piece. I think there's a leadership model that they're looking for out of Chapman, and definitely the defense is there. And if he can just not strike out quite as much, he's really a solid quality, a mainstay in that lineup, right? So if he's the piece that they start building around, if Buster can make a couple of moves and bring in a couple of good players this year, they can approach 90 wins. Then they can go out to prospective free agents and say, we're building something here. Okay, you see what we're building? We're laying a foundation for you to come in and sit on top of and be, lights out here and win here, right? It's not all going to happen overnight, but I honestly think that the Chapman deal is a good deal.
I scratch my head every time. I don't understand the hate on Chapman at all. I mean, apparently it's the number of years and the amount of money that was spent, but I don't think that has anything to do with the direction we're going. I don't think that he is making it like if they didn't sign Chapman, we still wouldn't have got Soto.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like people need to realize that there is not that many third basemen in all of baseball that are better than Chapman.
Right.
He has his flaws. He strikes out more than we'd like, but for a third baseman to hit 25 home runs and to run the bases like he does, he steals bases and is super savvy and fast on the bases. Like it surprised the heck out of me. Yeah. But his defense is next to I've never seen it. Yeah. Crawford at shortstop, yeah, but this is third base. This is a whole different thing. And I'd say Crawford probably most of his career was a defensive position player. And is it just because he plays shortstop so you don't expect as much out of him? A lot of people love Crawford, including myself. But I mean, I loved seeing Chapman's defense last year. It was one of the bright spots out of the whole season.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think the only guys that kind of are on that level with Chapman at third base, I think that Arenado in his prime was badass at third. And I do think that Manny Machado, as much as, I just kind of used to really hate the guy, plays some really stellar third base defense. And the people that are down on Chapman, think about what the Giants' record would have been this year. Do you not have Chapman playing third defensively? How many of those balls go down the line? He was keeping it locked down over there. And he had a short spurt of time across, I think, a month where he actually had a bunch of errors that was kind of uncharacteristic of the rest of the season. But man, I mean, the Giants could have finished well below 500 without having him there. So I like the deal. It's a lot of years. It's a lot of money, but I think it's not going to make it cost prohibitive for the Giants to go out and get some big pieces to go with it. Right.
And don't you think, to me, I don't know, I've never played professional ball, but if I'm a pitcher and I find out that you have Matt Chapman defensively at third base and one of the best framing catchers in all of baseball, maybe that is part of the equation for these pitchers when they're deciding, well, this is teams making $2 million more for me, but the Giants have this and they have this park. They got their outfield that's like fast. Right? Like I think these things help in other ways that people might not even see.
Right. And with pitchers, you have to consider that it's a pitcher-friendly ballpark.
Yeah.
So you add that to that talent. That's attractive to pitchers, I would think, especially guys that are trying to build a sort of a legacy for themselves, guys that are trying to be hall bound or whatever. Like, yeah, man. I mean, some years and years from now, somebody will probably handicap pitchers in San Francisco and say, well, the guy pitched in San Francisco for 5 years, so of course his numbers are that good. It's like, who fucking cares, man? We want those dudes. I don't care if somebody wants to talk shit about the ballpark. Look, it's the best ballpark in the league. Right?
Man, I never have been so disappointed in my life than when Eric was talking about tearing down the ballpark and moving the team to Santa Clara or somewhere where it's warmer. Ugh. I was like, hey, you guys are great. I love them. But that take, no fucking way, bro.
He probably never went to a game at Candlestick. That's like, anybody who's old like me and went to a lot of games at Candlestick, Oracle's warm compared to Candlestick, man. Shit.
Look at this. Tear it down. You're crazy. You're crazy. Hey, a big love, Eric, though. You've helped out a lot. You've been inspiration. Trade him for Suzuki. Who would you trade? I know that Christian wants to trade Murphy, so maybe we could do something like that.
I just haven't seen Murphy play, man. It's like, what is it? Isn't it funny how there's like guys on the roster and you're like, wait, they still have how many years? What? So bizarre. Kurt Suzuki is not on my radar, but whatever.
Well, Kurt Casale is on your radar and you're trying to get him off your radar.
I really want to see Blake Sable get one more opportunity at being the backup. I really do. Yeah.
Blake, I don't know. I feel like he'd be more potential for a DH or a first baseman or something. Unless he's been working super hard on catching and he's much improved, because I haven't seen him in a year. It was just, you got Posey and Bowmel. They're going to be definitely analyzing these catchers.
Yeah. They're gonna look at it with a lot of scrutiny, and I think
Babe Rocks is saying he loves Kurt Suzuki.
I no doubt the guy's definitely been a quality player. I do think that between Buster and Melvin, they're going to be on Bailey a little bit more about conditioning this season after we saw what happened last year. I'm just keeping my fingers crossed they ditch that switch hitting bullshit. I mean, to me, that was just one of the glaring flaws with Bailey, and he didn't have a whole lot to be bummed about. But hitting right-handed, he was terrible. So,
I was thinking, because I'm pretty sure Eric lives up in the Stockton area or somewhere over up there, where it's really hot. And it just reminded me that the Athletics are going to be playing in Sacramento, and their minor league team is in Stockton. So we've been talking about this. It'll never happen because of what it would do. But can you imagine if the River Cats started playing in Oakland and we could have the AAA team over there? Glenn and I were laughing because he's like, the Giants will never do that because people start going to watch the AAA team because the Giants are basically a AAA team. But like, imagine if you had, the teams that close together where like, I think it would help the kids, right? Like maybe they're still staying in the same hotels. They can condition together, like all that kind of stuff. And then you have the Stockton Ports and the Athletics up there in Sacramento close. I don't know, something to think about. Also, I love the idea. I'm wild. I've had too much coffee, but this idea has been percolating for a moment or two. And it is, since the whole league is DH, why don't we restructure the divisions? Let's go to Giants and A's in the same division, Mariners, Dodgers, Angels, and Padres. Whole West, blah, blah, boom.
yeah.
Like the Giants and A's, same division, Angels and Dodgers, same division. And then maybe we don't put the Mariners in there. Maybe it's just the Padres. But I just think that'd be really cool. Way less travel.
Yeah.
Right. We play those teams more often and they'll have to travel less. And then like, shit, I'll get on the freeway and go see a Angel Giants game or a Sacramento Giants game or even Seattle, San Diego. Like, I just think like Colorado, they can go play, with the Royals or somebody out there. It's something to think about. Way better to me than the Golden Bat rule.
Yeah, and this whole balanced schedule thing. The travel is the biggest problem with that because the West Coast teams, they got to put in so many miles to travel. The Texas teams have to put in so many miles to travel, the Rockies too. And then like you look at the rest of it, like all those teams that are out on the East Coast where people forget, like geographically, the East Coast is way smaller than the West Coast. All those big cities on the East Coast, they're all really close together. Guys are going from DC to Baltimore to New York, Florida.
Saying.
Like the travel for all of those teams to play the balanced schedule is not that bad compared to what the West Coast teams have to do. So I've not been a fan of that the last couple of years when they've done it, other than you get a chance to see a lot more teams and a lot more players. If you're just a fan of baseball, you get to see a lot more of the stars of the game, which is cool. But in terms of the disadvantage to certain teams, especially on the West Coast, I mean, maybe that's why the Dodgers are spending billions of dollars to get all the big guys, so that just won't really hurt them that much.
Yeah, that's something people have been arguing about, and I think it's worth mentioning. Are the A's not better than the Giants currently? Is their roster? I mean, yeah, they're going up to SAC, and they don't have fans that come to the ball games in Oakland. But is their roster not as good as the Giants? I don't know. I mean, it's interesting. You got to look at some of the players they have as players that would really look good in a Giants uniform. I know that.
Well, if you're going to weigh Mason Miller against either Doval or Walker, I mean, Mason Miller may tip the scales a tiny bit. I mean, he was essentially the most dominant closer in baseball this year, right? I mean,
yeah, and Rooker could be like
Rooker. And I'm trying to think, they had another guy or two that I saw a couple of games where they really excelled. I want to say maybe the A's have a couple of guys that are at a higher quality level than a lot of the Giants players, but they don't have a full roster, right? And the Giants have a lot of guys that just aren't getting quite over the hump. So
Eric's taking a little bit of his own potion right now and saying, come on, guys, let's see what the Giants could do. We're all over anxious for something. We're all guilty of it. And I really think that baseball needs to put in this NBA rule where there's a smaller window for the free agency and the trading. It just makes it so much more exciting. And then we can turn off for a little while too. We can never turn off because it's always. So it's like, is something happening? Something? No, winter meetings haven't happened yet. Yeah, but Athletics got Severino. Okay, well maybe, and it's like, no. What if it was just like December 6th to January 6th is everything? If you don't happen then, you don't happen till the season starts. Something like that. And it's like, boom, 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 Yeah. But I don't know. I feel like the fans always concede things that in their mind is so obviously better than what MLB's doing. And these guys supposedly get paid to do it and have a lot of experience. But just like the Giants marketing, man, nothing like it part 3.
Yeah.
Nobody wants a trilogy, man. Get that slogan out of here.
Yeah. Bottom line is, I'm just excited for baseball to come back. I feel like we got cheated this year. Like the season ended for the Giants, and it was kind of a disappointing season. And then now we're going through this anxiety-filled waiting period. So I'm just anxious for some moves to get made. We know what the roster is going to be. We know who's going into camp, and we kind of have some sense of like what the Giants are going to be this year. So I see people dropping some A's names. Yeah, Zach Geloff, it's a badass, man. Langoliers. I mean, these are quality players. So yeah, the A's are pretty strong.
Don't have Wilmer Wade or yes.
Yeah, that's true.
Hey, that's straight out of that's Glenn's favorite player, man. You can't shit on Wilmer. Come on, he's done a lot for the organization.
So the window you mentioned, I think would be a great idea, much better than the golden at bat for the Major League Baseball in general. I would also like to see him move the trade deadline up rather than where it is now. Move it up to earlier in the season by, let's say, a month.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Is right here is and Christian, by the way, is a huge soccer fan as well. So this is exactly what I'm talking about. You get the month of December, and when the window closes, it's shut.
Yep.
Think of how exciting that is. I mean, yeah. And then it also, I don't know who it favors, but maybe it favors the owners as far as like negotiating. Like maybe the players wouldn't get astronomical numbers because it has to happen sooner than later.
Right.
I don't know how all that would work, but I do know that as a fan, waking up every day and feeling like there's going to be some headlines, nothing better than that, and waking up and thinking there's going to be some headlines and not seeing anything just starts your day out like decaf coffee, man. It is a bummer.
Yeah, I feel like I need to find a 12-step meeting for MLB trade rumors to stay off that fucking website. I just like the first thing I do when I wake up in the morning, I do Wordle, I do the other game, Connections, and then I open up MLBTR, and then I go, damn it. And I trained myself not to go to the teams column and pick the Giants because like almost everything in there is like 3 or 4 months old.
Yeah.
So
the Giants have signed P. Goldschmidt. Eric, did you see that the Giants got Goldschmidt? I was really excited about that.
Yeah, you had me going for a second. It still could happen, know.
Pike Goldschmidt may bring in Paul Goldschmidt. We don't know.
True.
Yeah, I just want to thank everybody out there while I'm my brain. But thanks for tuning in. It's sick to have a bunch of people making comments. This is what we do this for, like to see people come and be a part of it. It is special, and this is probably the most people we've had. So just want to say thank you. And if you haven't, hit subscribe if you like it, and spread the word. And we're loving the idea of just kind of like warming up the kettle and then Glenn and Eric explode for 2 hours. Like it's just like, family, just continuing the vibe. So nothing but love here. And I just can't tell you how different this off season has been for me personally, having this community to talk ball, because I don't really like football and basketball, whatever, but I am a baseball guy and I miss it. And around this time, I get really depressed because nothing's happening and I miss baseball. So having the community kicks ass.
Yeah. 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 I'm with you. It's like a support group for with withdrawals, baseball withdrawals. So stoked. We have a great crowd tonight.
Yeah, it's
Super
cool,
stoked.
man. Now all we need is a great starting pitcher headline. Seriously though, like, have you done any looking down the pipe as far as, sadly we don't get Burns or Fried? Who down there is somebody that you'd be like, well, this guy's not Burns or Fried, but he's pretty good? Like, I don't want Flaherty.
That was going to be my answer to your question. Anybody but Jack Flaherty.
I mean, what do you think about Walker Buehler? We don't lose any picks with him, and we get to go into Dodger Stadium with Mr. Tight Pants. I don't know. Is that a faux pas or is that a fun pas? I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, Walker Buehler was really something else when he first came into the league, and then after the elbow, he just hasn't been anywhere near as dominant as he was. And it's always rough when former Dodgers come in and wear the black and orange. It's like, ooh, it's supposed to go the other way. We're supposed to ship our like cast off guys we don't want to the Dodgers, And as much as I hate to use him as an example, Jason Schmidt, who was phenomenal as a Giant, we sent him to LA and man, he just fell apart. So yeah, I agree, Senior. It is interesting. I just hate bringing ex-Dodgers in. Just not about it.
What do you think about this Stroman rumor I've been hearing?
That's interesting.
I mean, the Yankees didn't even put him on the postseason roster. Like,
no, they did not.
So I'm sure that they're probably not wanting to hold on to him if they can get somebody better. I know Stroman's a big fan of Logan Webb.
Yep.
I don't know. To me, I want a lefty. That's my top pick. If there's a good lefty, like Fried would be so. I really think Fried. I've been bouncing back and forth between Fried and Burns, and I just started thinking Fried is our guy because I don't know about Harrison and Ray. I don't have a lot of confidence in them per se. Webb, I do have confidence in, and the other righties will figure it out. I think Fried would be, wow, Fried and Webb, they're so different too. It'd be a really good 1-2 at the top of our rotation.
Yep. Yeah, it's really crucial in a 3-game series or a 4-game series that you're giving a really radically different look each day with the pitchers that you're running out there. Because if you got 4 of the same guy basically in your rotation, these hitters are going to warm up to it real quick and you're just going to get shellacked. So yes, the Vans cleats. I was kind of down with that idea a year or two ago. The Stroman thing is interesting because
didn't Lorenzen throw a no-hitter his first game with the new team? Was it the Phillies or where did he go? I think he threw a no-hitter. Like he got traded to a team. Was he on the Tigers and then he went to the Phillies or something like that?
Yeah, I believe he was.
And then his first or second game, I think he threw a no-hitter.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I think he had injury issues, right? So
see, we don't want that. We don't want let's get a healthy guy, whoever it is.
Yeah, Stroman's interesting because he was Webb's workout partner for a while, and he was actually really good in New York, and then they just completely snubbed him. He didn't throw a single pitch in the playoffs, and I don't know why. In retrospect, they probably could have used him against the Dodgers to their advantage, right? So I don't know, man. I don't know.
Oh, I guess the other big name we haven't really mentioned is Sasaki. Like, is that just, are we all penciling him in as a Dodger, or is there a chance? I think the Padres would have a pretty good chance at him, with Yu Darvish. But yeah, I think Yoki Sasaki would be incredible for San Francisco to get a Japanese player of that magnitude.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like Jack Flaherty though. I can't. He's like in the top 5 as far as starting pitching free agents that are available, and I just don't want that.
Yeah.
That will be a bummer for me.
Yeah, and I don't think the Dodgers want to have him around anymore. They don't want to re-sign him because they got Gonsolin coming back. They've got some other arms, that guys that didn't pitch much this year but are still, rotation pieces that are going to be back. So Sasaki, I mean, I could see the Dodgers going for it just to be crass and just make everybody even that much more bummed out that they signed him. But the other thing about that is we don't know what that guy's going to do in the major leagues. I mean, look at Yamamoto. Yamamoto got torqued on. So I don't know. I'll take Sasaki over Sagano if I had to choose, of course. Uh-oh, lost your audio, Greg.
Hear it?
There you are.
Okay, yeah. Has Eovaldi signed?
I'm not sure.
Sure. He'd be probably another guy that like I could see them maybe getting as like a plan B, as I think Sasaki, Burns, Fried are your top 3 guys, and for me it's Fried and Burns just because of what you said. So Eric, thanks for stopping by. Yeah, we'll chime in on your show in a little bit. I think everybody here knows, but at 8:00 Eric and Glenn do their thing over on Giant Sports Talk Live. So keep the ball talk rolling. Charlie Craig in the house. Good to see you, man. How's Seattle looking? Are you guys about to ship Arizona down to us or what?
I'd buy that for $1.
Yes, sir. What else? What else is there to oh, you know what we should do? Drum roll, please. I got to get some sound effects, but maybe now's a good time to do our first ever Christian Cam with his breakdown on the statistics with the verses.
Oh, good Lord. Well, it's the shortstop hole that we're talking about. I don't know if we can bring
have we learned how to do it?
Well, we're going to figure it out right now. Oh, that didn't work. Let's see. There we go. So, for anybody wondering, here are the numbers: Ha-Sung Kim versus Willy Adames.
But for how long?
For how long?
Well, was it the last 3 years, 4 years?
No, this is their overall stats. So obviously, I think the age difference, Adames has been in the league maybe 1 to 2 seasons longer.
He has 300 more games.
Yeah. So we're looking at, Adames leads most of these categories, However, Kim has the 1 gold glove and pitching and defense, right?
And he leads in stolen bases, which I like.
Yeah. So if we get Kim, just the numbers are.
So their batting averages are pretty close.
Yep.
Adames obviously has more power. He's going to hit you more home runs, which means more RBIs. Kim might lead in runs, stolen bases, and obviously defense.
Yeah. Real close in OPS, but the slug, definitely Adames has more power, on base is almost identical. And so it's really, I don't know, it's really a question of health, right?
So here's the big anchor, right? Kim, you don't lose 2 draft picks and you don't have to pay the $1 million. Adames, you do.
Yep.
Is that so? I think the question is that penalty worth the difference? Like, is Adames that much better that you don't mind that penalty? Or would you rather not pay that penalty and get Kim because he's almost as good?
Yeah. I mean, when you look at it that way, it's kind of like it maybe makes more sense, and hopefully they can get Kim healthy enough where it's not an issue. We don't worry about it. Yes, Charlie. 100%, dude.
And then here's the Christian Cooper point also. Christian would love this as well. Big Arenado fan. If somehow we could get Arenado to play first, oh Lord.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be a monster deal. I mean, he's talking about wanting to play for another team, and San
Can
Francisco
you
is definitely
imagine if
another
we
team.
had Kim and Arenado in the infield? That way we would have Fitzgerald and Schmidt to battle it out at second base or just whatever. But Jesus, the gloves,
Yeah, the
the
corners is
defense
just
that we'd have.
insane. It'd be
I
insane.
mean, oh, and Arenado, he's still good enough to sell a bunch of jerseys and be kind of a star player, right?
Absolutely.
I think Goldschmidt's older. I think he's a little more on the way out. Arenado's probably still got a little bit in him, right?
Well, that's the thing is Goldschmidt's a guy you look at for like a 1 year to plug the hole in the dike, right? Whereas Arenado's a guy where you're like, yeah, you could sink 4 years on him, 5 years on him. I mean, he's going to end up being, pushing into his late 30s, but Arenado has been a quality player from day one, and I don't think he's declined all that much. I mean, his hitting the last couple of years has kind of been more spotty and streaky than it used to be. But dude, Arenado is a scary dude.
I love Arenado. He's got a cannon for an arm too. Yep. Imagine the relays from right field to him to third base and yep. that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Oh man, it's
think about him being the cutoff man. Balls hit out to right field and gunning dudes down that are trying to get home. Right. I mean,
exactly.
There's a lot there to like if you can get him. So it really comes down to what is the trade price tag. Giants have no shortage of guys they'd love to get rid of, but is it guys that you can actually package and trade? And do you have to give up some cash considerations to get him? Okay, do that. Maybe they trade a lower draft pick as well. It's possible.
So realistically, Christian, what are we looking at here? What in your brain makes most sense? Are the Giants going to land a free agent or two, or are they going to trade for a player or two? Or are they going to do a little of both?
I think they're going to do a little of both. I don't think, obviously, they're going to go out and sign 1 to 2 free agents this offseason. I think that's going to be it. They could surprise us and get 3, but I really don't think it's going to be more than 2. And beyond that, yeah, it's going to be trades, and I think it's going to be bringing up prospects and seeing what they can do and trying to, I think the one key thing for us that we hope for is that they can get enough quality to have everyday lineups, the same guys day in, day out, are taking 100%. The field together, that they're not being platooned, and we're not looking at these weird batting splits and saying, well, we're facing this guy today, so you're going to sit and you're going to sit, but you'll play tomorrow. It's like, if I'm a pro ball player, I imagine, the mindset is, I'm here to do this job every day unless I can't physically, right?
Uh-huh.
That's it. I'm sure guys don't want to sign on with a team where it's like, oh, you mean I'm only going to get into 87 games this year? What does that do for my legacy as a player? What does that say about I'm not good enough to play every day? There's a lot of issues there that the Giants really need to address.
Yeah, and they're pretty much at the point where they need to be accountable, right? They need to explain what's going on. Right. If they don't do much this offseason, it's just year after year, and they're kind of smoke and mirrors. Like, what's going on, guys? You have all, like, this year's not great, but it's pretty good. Like, there's some players to be had, why don't you get Arenado or Goldschmidt or Adames or these guys that could help the team? What is going on? Like, is it all money? Like, what is it? Because it doesn't make sense to the fan base at all. And if you care about your fan base that brings you the revenue, you'd want to explain yourself or change your game plan.
Well, here's part of the issue. The San Francisco Bay Area sports media has treated the organization with kid gloves, in my opinion. The KNBR and all of these the sports writers for the Merc and all these people, and I don't want to single people out and say that they totally suck.
Murph.
But I think there needs to be a little bit more pressure from the Bay Area sports media on the Giants organization. Explain yourselves. What the hell is going on? Farhan was one of these guys that talked this big game. Oh, we're all in on Judge. We're all in on this guy. We're all in on that guy. Then they failed to get him. And there was never an accounting or an explanation of why these things didn't work out. And you tell me, hey, his agent's an asshole and he wants way too much money and he's a pain in the ass. We don't want that guy. Fine. You told me. That's it. But this sort of like, oh, look, Carlos Correa is house shopping in Lafayette, and we're going to announce him tomorrow at the ballpark. And then, oh, well, he didn't pass the physical. It's like, there's no explanation of that. What you didn't think to get the physical and do the analysis of that before you brought him to the city? Why? Explain yourself. Yeah, and that's the media's job, right? That's the media's job to go out so that all of us as fans are like, okay, at least we know somebody's in our corner asking the hard questions, because we never get the chance to do that. And, you go to other big market cities, man, the sports media is ruthless. They are on these people, man.
East Coast especially.
Yeah. And so, San Francisco, it's like, you grow a pair at KNBR. Right? Like, go ask those questions. When you bring these guys on air, ask some real tough questions, because real men can handle tough questions. Every time they brought Farhan on, it was like softball questions, and he chuckled and and it was just like, you're not telling me anything that I need to know, pal.
I think part of what you said really resonates with me, as far as, I don't think that they're going to say this publicly, but let's just take Juan Soto, for instance. I don't know that he's the best guy in the clubhouse. I don't know that having a prima donna in your clubhouse when all the other guys are so below that, like, he's going to mesh well with Judge, of course, like stars and stars. But if you put Soto into the Giants clubhouse, I could see Buster Posey looking at that as a problem. Mm-hmm. Like, as character problem, not as he's going to be a great player. We know that, but what's he going to do inside the clubhouse? And everybody can talk about Barry Bonds in his leather seat and 3 lockers or whatever that was. But I just see certain guys like that I'm like, I mean, you and I have been cold on him ever since the rumor started. But the minute the Vladdy rumor started, I was like, I'm in 100%. If they want to go all in on Vladdy, sign me up. I'll buy a jersey the day they announce it.
Yep. Yeah, it has a lot to do with how guys carry themselves, I like guys who are stars, but they don't quite know it, or they don't quite act like it.
Or like Francisco Lindor, he knows it, but like he still plays the game like with respect to his former play, everybody.
Yeah.
So,
and Brandon Crawford, right? Brandon Crawford made, they used to call him the human highlight reel. It make these spinning throws, these incredible plays, but just carried it off like, I'm just doing my job, man. And I mean, you love that. You love when a guy is that talented and he doesn't, wear this giant halo and walk around and thump his chest and act like he's the hottest shit that ever came down the pike. Right. I love that. And that sort of goes back to that blue collar ethos that San Francisco has always had. And it's a great thing. You want stars too. And a little ego and swagger is cool. I think Soto's just a little too much for us,
Yeah, I'd agree. I think it's interesting. Susan Slusser, I've been just looking down at some of these posts, and Susan Slusser said that she's hearing the Giants have been in serious contact with Corbin Burns, who'd certainly be a superb option after losing Snell.
Yep.
Huh. So these are the type of things that we hear, and how much weight they have, we're the only one that can say, right? Like they all are just words. They all are just people saying things. But in our mind, it's like, oh, that could happen. That should happen. And that's where, like, I'm guilty of it. Last year I was just like, you're like, dude, you got to stop looking at the MLB for a day or two. Like, you're out of control, man. I'm just like, wow. I think I'm doing a little better this year.
Yeah. Well, I think after last year, it's sort of like we kind of feel like after the way the offseason went and then the season went, like, okay, it's like maybe our expectations got a little more realistic. So it's making it not so crazy. But I'm getting wound up every day a little bit about it because I want to hear about something happening, something moving, somebody getting picked up, somebody, if not a blockbuster, certainly something that's approaching blockbuster. Let's put it that way.
You think it's going to be Soto or Burns first?
Oh, who signs first?
Yeah.
If the Giants are indeed really serious about Burns, I could see Burns getting signed before Soto. And it would be cool because then it kind of takes the wind out of everything and we don't have to even think about where Soto's going. I mean, I'm trying not to already, but that would help.
Well, this is the problem that I see. I think Boris is Burns' agent, correct?
Yep.
So Boris is like a traffic. He's like the guy at the airport, like mission control. We're going to put Burns on hold. The Yankees and all these teams are going after Soto, but I don't want those teams to miss out on Burns. So I'm going to hold Burns until Soto's figured out. Then the leftover is going to come over to Burns and join the other team. It's like the Giants, maybe they're not even in on Soto. Why can't they just sign Burns?
Yeah.
But because the Yankees and the Mets won't sign Burns if they're going all in on Soto. So that's where it just sucks. It's like, fuck, we're going to go one at a time through it. So every high baller guy, whatever they miss, they can be next in line for the next guy. It's like, that's BS. That needs to change.
Yeah. I'd love to see some preemptive moves. And obviously, I mean, the winter meetings are only just starting. So
T-shot. Look at this. Slusser. I didn't know she's a weird Taylor Swift groupie. I know she likes her Brit rock. I think she goes to England a lot. I like Slusser. I think she's got a good baseball mind, and she covered the Athletics for a long time. So she's been in the Bay Area, which is always a plus for me. I got no problem with her. There's a lot out there worse, that's for sure.
I feel like I need to when I'm at my mom's, I need to drive down in Santa Rosa and steal the Slusser Street sign and send it to her. Because there's a Slusser Avenue in Santa Rosa or Slusser Street. I was driving someplace and all of a sudden I stopped at an intersection and went, fuck, that's awesome. So who knows? Maybe I'll have a couple beers and pull a clandestine mission in the middle of the night.
Amazing. Yeah.
Well, should we wrap this thing up? I mean,
I think so. I think we've done it. What are we, 7:30? Everybody take a little time out, wash your hands, maybe go get a little food, take a shot, whatever your Friday night consists of. And then we'll see you over on the other channel in a little bit. I'm going to go try to quiet this damn dog down. I don't know. This is how it ends. Huh? It's so sad.
Yeah. Well, thanks everybody for spending your Friday night with us. And thank you, Schmitty, for doing the same. And it was a good one.
Yeah, man. And I'm not going to break the news, but I'll just give you guys a little tease. We got a really special interview that Christian and I are doing Sunday. We're really excited about it. And we're going to drop that next week. It won't be live. It'll be a podcast, but it'll be on audio and video. really looking forward to it. So
Yeah.
look for that.
Very exciting. Cool. All right. I think we're out of here.
Peace out, everybody. Thanks again.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Skaters on Baseball. If you liked what you heard, please spread the word, give us a good review, or hell, blow us up on your social media if you're down. Follow us at Skates on Base on Instagram for baseball news and other fun stuff. We love comments and listener participation, so bring it with an audio clip or an email. You can email us at skatersonbase@gmail.com. We're everywhere you get your podcasts, and we'll be here all season long.
Let's go, San Francisco. Let's go, Giants.
I'm excited to give everything that I have for these next 6 seasons and, see where it takes us.
Adios, Pelota!
See you soon. Thank you.
And I am forever a Giant.
Cool.